Hey guys, Fish767 here. If I sound a little bit different today, it's because I am I'm sort of been down with a cold, so I'm sorry about that. That's why I haven't been able to upload for the past couple of days. Um, but happy Thanksgiving, as it should be Thanksgiving by the time I get this thing uploaded. So if you'll remember back a while ago, I did a video where I showed you how I build like one of my decks, and the deck that I ended up building was Sidisi Blood Tyrant, which I also had the pronunciation wrong for her name in that video. It is Sidisi, not Sidsi. I'm very sorry for anybody that completely that just got weirded out by that. So today I thought I'd do an actual deck tech on her. I've been working on her deck a lot, and it's very different from the deck that I ended up making in that previous video. In addition, the end of the previous video got cut off, and I'm very sorry about that, guys. So here we go. So for those of you that don't know, I'm going to link the old video in the description if you want to go check it out. It has great deck making tips in there, even if there's not like, they may not be obvious, but it is how I make a deck, and if you like any of the decks that I've made so far, you might go check out that video because that's how I make most of my decks. Anyway, so she's a 4-drop, Shield will be our commander 4-drop. It's black, green, and blue. As she says, whenever she enters or attacks, you mill 3 from the top of your library, and whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from your library, you create a 2/2 black zombie. So this deck is mainly going on aggro. We're going to attack with her as many times as we can. If she dies, it might be a small problem, and you should probably try and prevent that, but if you're stuck at where you are in the game and you have no reason to not let her die, go ahead and attack with her. It's worth milling the extra 3. Because we got a lot of zombie stuff going on. So the first card in the deck is Sandworm Convergence. It's an 8-drop enchantment. Creatures with flying can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of your end step, you make a 5/5 green worm. There are 2 reasons it's in there. The first one is we don't have a lot of interaction with flying creatures, so it shuts down most of those. Well, actually all of those. And then the second reason it's in here is because it gives us a 5/5 token. So that's probably going to be our biggest token that we ever get on the field. And in addition, we have ways to make it a zombie, thus buffing it even more. And this is a very aggro deck, so that card is very helpful. And then we run Beastmaster Ascension. It's a 3-drop enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on Beastmaster Ascension. You should always put a quest counter on Beastmaster Ascension. And then as long as it has 7 or more quest counters on it, creatures you control get +5/+5. So we run it as essentially a way to make our 2/2 zombies into 7/7 zombies. We should be able to do it very quickly if we can get that down turn 3 and turn 4 play our commander. We should have no problem at winning the game at that rate. And it just is another way to buff our creatures. It really helps us in the long run. I'm also going to pull out the cards that go to infinite combos as I'm going through here. That way I can show you those combos at the end of the video. So next up, we run a 5-drop. Rise from the Grave. It's a sorcery. You put target creature card from a graveyard on the battlefield under your control. It is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. It doesn't have to be your creature. We can use it to get back anything that we would need from our graveyard to pull off a good combo, or anything that we want from our opponent's graveyards to maybe stop them, such as a Vorinclex. That would be a nice thing to steal. So that's there. Then we run Reassembly Skeleton. It's a 2-drop. You may pay to return it from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It does follow into a lot of our combos, so it's a very nice combo piece, and I will show you in what it combos later. We have Jared's Orders. It's a 4-drop. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards. To reveal them, put one into your hand, the other into your graveyard, then you shuffle your library. Generally, you will want to put into your graveyard a clone or a reassembling skeleton, and the other card that you'll want to get is probably a body double. And so body double, I'll just show you what that is later. I'm actually going to show you the combos with that card. Then we got Diabolic Tutors, a 4-drop. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Self-explanatory. It's in there for obvious reasons. Phantom Netoko, it's a 3-drop with Trample. It enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. If it will be dealt damage, you prevent the damage and remove a +1/+1 counter from it instead. And then you can tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's in there mainly as a defender. We don't usually attack with the thing, unless we can get it up to like 12, but it's mainly there for defender. Reaper of the Wilds, a 4-drop. Whenever another creature dies, scry 1. That's just the main reason it's in there, but it does have some other abilities. You can pay black and give it Death Touch, or you can pay 2 and give it Hexproof. So, you know, it's mainly in there for the scry ability. I've not got to play it yet in the games that I've played. You run 3-drop Notion Rain, you surveil 2, draw 2, and it deals 2 to you. It's in there mainly for the surveil because that allows us to mill the cards, and if we have the commander out and we mill a creature, we get a 2/2 black zombie. In addition, it gives us nice card advantage, so it does many things. Then we run Endless Ranks of the Dead. It's a 4-drop enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put X 2/2 black zombies onto the battlefield, where X is half the number of zombies you control rounded down. So if you have 13 zombies and you have this out, at the beginning of your upkeep, you make 6. And then the next turn you'd have 19, and so at the beginning of that upkeep, you'd make 10. The reason why it's in there is because we make a ton of zombies very quickly. It's not hard to get down. It's a 4-drop enchantment, so on turn 5, we could play it, and then we could put down Carrion Feeder, which is another part of an infinite combo, and then we're set. We're basically going to make tons of zombies very quickly, and it helps our deck go in aggro. So that's why that's there. We got Final Parting. You search your library for 2 cards, put one into hand, the other into the graveyard, then you shuffle. It's a 5-drop sorcery. We have Never to Return, never destroy target creature or planeswalker, and then return Aftermath. You exile target card from a graveyard, you create a 2/2 black zombie. So it's a 3-drop murder, only it hits planeswalkers. It's at sorcery speed though, and then you've got a 4-drop exile something that could get annoying and make a 2/2 black zombie. Sultai Ascendancy. It's a 3-drop enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top 2 cards of your library, put any number of them into your graveyard, the rest back on top in any order. It's obviously in there to synergize with our commander, because then we can mill off creatures, we can get more zombies on the field, and in addition we can control what we draw to an extent. So it's a very helpful card. Plus we can make sure that we're not milling off something extremely important with our commander. And then we run Mer Retriever, so it's a 2-drop. When it dies, you may return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. I will explain why it's in there later, but mainly it's because we can't get other things that aren't creatures back, so it gets us something that's not a creature back. But it is part of a combo. Lab Maniac, it's a 3-drop. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. There is a very easy explanation for why this is in here. We mill our decks very quickly. On turn 11, I milled about half my deck. This is a 100-card deck because it's in Commander, so we mill extremely quickly. And so having that card and being able to win is very helpful. Plus, we can infinite combo ourselves to no cards in library. Alright, Lord of the Accursed. It's a 3-drop. Other zombies you control get +1/+1. Pay 2, tap it. All zombies gain menace. It's a 2/3. Pretty helpful. Then we got Open the Graves. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you make a 2/2 black zombie. That should be rather self-explanatory. Then we run Embalmer's Tools. So activate abilities, creature cards in your graveyard cost 1 less to activate. You may tap an untapped zombie you control and target player mills 1. We have that in there mainly because if our commander makes a zombie and we got this down, then we can just try and mill it to make a bunch more zombies, and it helps us do other things. Yeah, I'll show you what everything does at the end. Sifter's Skull is a 4-drop to void. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you make a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion. It has sacrifice this creature, add colorless to your mana pool. He is part of many an infinite combo. We have Body Double, 5-drop. You may enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature in a graveyard. Since we're milling out our deck really quickly, we're probably going to mill out some important creatures. If we get this creature, it's every creature that we could ever want from our graveyard. Commander Sphere, 3-drop artifact, tap it, add 1 mana of a color in your commander's color identity, or you can sack it and draw a card. We will be using it for mana until we need it in part of an infinite combo to draw the final card that wins us the game. We got Razaketh's Right, it's a 5-drop sorcery, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, and it has cycling. Then there's Frixingle, 3-drop sack a creature, gets +2/+2 until the end of the turn. Then we have Elixir of Immortality. So it's a 1-drop artifact. You may pay 2, tap it. You gain 5 life, shuffle it and your graveyard into their owner's library. It's mainly in there because we're going to mill out our entire deck really quickly. So, don't want to die. Ashad's Altar, 3-drop artifact, sack a creature, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. You may you play this ability as mana source. It basically means that it's at instant speed. It's a really good card because we need to sack our stuff a lot. And then we got Tygram, Sidisi's Hand. So this card's super good. It keeps us from dying, and it also synergizes with our commander really well. So it's a 5-drop. Skip your draw step. At the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, the rest into your graveyard. Pay black, tap it, exile X cards from your graveyard. Target creature gets neg X until the end of turn. You probably won't be using that bottom ability, but we mainly have it in there because if we mill out our entire deck, we don't die. That's really helpful. And then also we get to mill 2 cards at the beginning of our upkeep, thus increasing the amount of zombies that we make from our commander. We also run Arcane Adaptation. It's a 3-drop enchantment. When it enters, you choose a creature type. Your main targets will be zombie or human. Zombie will be the one that you want to choose for this one. Creatures control the chosen type. In addition to their other types, the same is true for creature spells you control that are on the stack and creature cards you own that are on the battlefield. So any creature in your deck or your graveyard or your hand or on the stack are zombies. So we also have Altered Ego. It's an X and 4. It can't be countered. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it enters with X additional +1/+1 counters on it. And so we can use it to combo off with our commander, or we can just use it to make a copy of a really good creature, or we could use it for additional effects, or we could just steal an opponent's creature. Like, you know, it's very versatile. Rooftop Storm, it's a 6-drop enchantment. You may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for zombie creature spells. With Arcane Adaptation, everything's a zombie creature spell. You get to play your entire creature field hand for free. I mean, it's amazing. It comes with another card. I'll show you that at the end. Butcher Malakar, 7-drop, flying. When it or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. We make tons of tokens. Those tokens die. Our opponents lose creatures. That's the main idea of the card. And we got Deadbridge Chant. When it enters, we mill 10, synergizing with our commander. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, you choose a card at random in your graveyard. If it's a creature card, you put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you put it into our hand. This generates extra card advantage for us because we want to mill things to get the triggers off of our commander. But now it's not like they're stuck there. Now we can actually use them. So it's a very helpful card. Unfortunately, not part of an infinite combo. Whisper Blood Liturgist, 4. It's a 4-drop, tap it, sack 2, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. We use it for a lot of different things, mainly to get back the creatures that we really need by sacking tokens. You got Xenograph, it's a 5-drop enchantment. As it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Creatures you control the chosen type in addition to its other types. That's each creature you control. So it affects each one individually, apparently, but it affects them all at the same time. So for this one, you want to choose human, unless you can't get the other bit of the combo, because the only reason that you want to choose human is for a combo. Otherwise, choose zombie, just for the buffs, because we got a lot of buff spells, buff enchantments, you know what I mean. We got a 3-drop, Xanthra Necromancer. Whenever it or another human creature you control dies, you make a 2/2 black zombie that's tapped. That's why you'd want to choose human, because then if our zombies die, we make more zombies, because it doesn't specify non-token, or non-human tokens, so tokens count, which is why we want it, because then it makes all of our zombies immortal, which is really helpful. Then we got Gravewaker, a 6-drop flyer, pay 7, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. We run it to make sure that we get back the other cards that we need to make sure that we can combo off, and you get the idea. It's in there to combo. It's basically our insurance policy. We got Price of Fame. It's a 4-drop instant. Costs 2 less to cast if it targets a legendary creature. Destroy target creature. Surveil 2. So basically, we can use it to kill off whatever we want, and then we get to mill 2 if we wanted to, and we probably do, and then we get a zombie. That's the basic idea. We run Murder. Destroy target creature. 3-drop instant. It's self-explanatory. We got ourselves a Soul Ring. 1-drop. Tap it. Add 2. It's an artifact. And then we run Greater Good. It's a 4-drop enchantment. Sack a creature. Draw cards equal to the sack creature's power. Then discard 3. Even if you have to sack zombies for it, because it's really part of an infinite combo, we really just want to mill our entire deck. And even if they're not going straight from the library to the graveyard, as long as they're in the graveyard, we can still use them most of the time. So I've not got to actually play with the card. I've got no idea how to completely use it, but I'm just letting you guys know it's a great card in the deck. You probably want to use it. And then there's Newsgraph Mob. It's a 6-drop. It enters with 5 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever a player casts a spell, you remove a +1/+1 counter from it. And if you do, you make a 2/2 black zombie. So it's a great source of zombies, and plus it's actually a really big zombie when it comes in. It's a 5/5, and if we can buff it, then it doesn't die when we remove all the +1/+1 counters from it, which makes it an even better thing there, because then we can sack it and not have to worry about it. Because if we were to remove the last +1/+1 counter, we don't get to sacrifice it; it just dies. But if we have it buffed and then we can sacrifice it, we can do other effects with with it leaving the battlefield like that. We got Karn's Temporal Sundering. It's a 6-drop legendary sorcery, so what that means is you have to have a legendary creature or planeswalker on the battlefield in order to activate its effect. That shouldn't be too hard because our commander is relatively easy to cast, but we do not run any planeswalkers. But it says target player takes an extra turn after this one, and then you return up to one target non-permanent to his other's hand, and then you exile Karn's Temporal Sundering. There are a couple better cards that you could have in the deck. Any cards that actually go to the graveyard as opposed to get exiled would be better. So, anything like that. And even if it shuffled itself into the deck, that's a lot better than Karn's Temporal Sundering. There are a couple that do it, but they're a little bit more expensive, and I do not have them. We got Grey Merchant of Asphodel. It's a 5-drop zombie. When it enters, each opponent loses X, where X is your devotion to black, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. Your devotion to a color is the amount of color that appear in its casting cost, so if you only had Grey Merchant of Asphodel down, then X would be 2, because it has 2 black in its casting cost. I just wanted to explain that real quick. Alright, you got Clone. It's a 4-drop. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield. Self-explanatory, part of an infinite combo. I'll show you that in a moment. We got Carrion Feeder. Can't block sack creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's 1-drop, 1/1. Part of an infinite combo. Beast Whisperer, 4-drop. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. It basically just provides us extra steam to keep on going, because we will run out of cards in our hand very quickly, and then we will be relying on a graveyard. And if we can't get the cards that we need to in order to rely on the graveyard, which is basically impossible with how many we run, we're going to need Beast Whisperer out there to just help us get to the end of the game. So, he is there. We got Pitiless Plunder. It's a 4-drop. Whenever another creature you control dies, you make a colorless treasure that is tapped. Sack the artifact. Add 1 mana to the card your mana pool because it's an artifact. Anyway, it's part of an infinite combo. We need it to generate black mana or sometimes blue mana. You got Desecrated Tomb. It's a 3-drop. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your battlefield, you make a 1/1 black bat with flying. So most of the times, we're going to be reanimating stuff from our graveyard, which means that stuff's going to be constantly leaving, and making the 1/1 black bat with flying helps us to block those annoying flyers, which I said before we don't have much interaction with. This is one of the very few cards in the deck that helps us with that. In addition, we can make a bunch of bats, like infinite bats. Vizier of Many Faces. It's basically another copy of Clone with Embalm for 5. Then there is Necromantic Selection. It's a 7-drop board wipe, so you destroy all creatures, then return a creature card put into any graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control, and it's a zombie in addition to its other colors and types, and then you exile Necromantic Selection. Self-explanatory. Then we got Sangromancer. It's a 4-drop flyer. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you may gain 3. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you may gain 3. If we can get this and Butcher of Malakar down with a nice token generator, we're basically going to be sacrificing something, making our opponents lose, sack a creature, and then we gain 3 life for each one sacrificed that way. Helps us to deal with flyers, and we're generally using the token for something else anyway, so we don't need it. Like we don't need the token anyway, so it's super helpful. We got Leon's Mastery, 5-drop enchantment. Zombies you control get +1/+1. When it enters, you make 2/2 black zombies. We run it to make the zombies and to buff the zombies, and so yeah, it should be self-explanatory why that's in there. Then we got Soul of Innistrad. It's a 6-drop 6/6 with Death Touch. You can pay 5, return 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Pay 5, exile it from your graveyard, and then you return 3 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. It's another way that we can interact with the graveyard. It's definitely the worst way in the deck to interact with the graveyard. And it's even worse than the bird that costs 7, because we actually reanimate it with the bird, we don't with the soul. We've got Vela, the Nightclad. It's a 6-drop with Intimidate. Other creatures you control have Intimidate, and then when it or another creature you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. So it's really in there just because of its bottom ability, but the only reason I'm not running Zulaport Cutthroat as opposed to Vela, because Zulaport Cutthroat's only a 2-drop, and we gain a life every time a creature leaves and our opponents lose 1, and it affects all of our opponents at the same time. The reason why this one's in here is because it gives all of our stuff Intimidate, which is basically means that our zombies can only be blocked by black creatures and artifact creatures, and Vela can only be blocked by black, blue, and artifact, and then our commander can only be blocked by black, blue, green, or artifact. So you get the basic idea. Only creatures of its color can block it. So it's really helpful for that. Plus, we're going to be making a ton of zombies, so if we're facing a mono green deck, our zombies just become unblockable, and then they go in there and they kill really easily. Future Sight, 5-drop, enchantment, play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play the top card as though it were in your hand. It's basically in there for extra, extra advantage, extra card advantage. We want it to be able to cast more stuff. Then we got Shardless Agent. It's a 3-drop with Cascade. So Cascade says when you cast it, you exile the cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost, and then you put the exile cards on the bottom in a random order. The reason why we run this card and why we have this specific Cascade card is because we only run 4 cards that are 2 or 1 drops. And they either combo with the deck, such as Carrion Feeder and Elixir of Immortality and Mer Retriever, or it's a card that we could really use. So it basically hits 4 cards. That's the Embalmer's Tools, and then the other 3 that I've already mentioned, those are the and the Reassembly Skeleton, but those are the only ones that hit, so I guess 5. But it's in there because it basically gives us a guaranteed combo piece. In addition, it's a 2/2. Like, why wouldn't you want it? It's a good card. From Beyond, 4-drop, Devoid. At the beginning of your upkeep, you make a 1/1 Eldrazi sign that sack this creature at one of your mana pool. You may pay to exile From Beyond and then search your library for an Eldrazi card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. We mainly have it in there to make the 1/1s early on because we don't really get to play stuff until turn 6, even though it, besides our commander. Even though that this is a very aggro deck, it is in there for that specific purpose alone. In addition, we can get Sifter of Skulls, which is a much better card than this one, and is a part of many of our combos, and if we can't get it, then we're probably not going to combo off. Heavenghoul Lich, it's a 5-drop 4/4, you may pay 1, and then you get to cast any creature card in a graveyard, and then when you cast that card, Heavenghoul Lich gains its activated abilities. So if I were to, per se, cast... if I were to cast Gravewaker with it, now I can pay 7 on Heavenghoul Lich and activate Gravewaker's ability, essentially, in case Gravewaker were to get killed. But it's only until the end of the turn. It's mainly in there because it's a great way to reanimate stuff. Overseer of the Damned is a 7-drop flying. When it enters, you may destroy target creature. Whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, you create a tap 2/2 black zombie. It's mainly in there to make the zombies, but, I mean... it kills something, so that's another reason why it's in there. We got Part the Water Veil. It's a 6-drop. Take an extra turn after this one. You exile Part the Water Veil. And it has Awaken for 9. Never activate its Awakened ability. It's mainly in there for the extra turn. And then we run a bunch of lands, and I'll get to the lands towards the end of the video. But on to the parts of the card that go infinite. So this is the stack of cards in here that is a piece of a combo in the deck. This is like half of the cards in the deck. So, I just wanted to let you know that there's a ton of cards in here that combo, and I'm still finding combo pieces. Like, I'm still finding the combos. So, our main combo involves having Sidisi out, having Heavenghoul Lich out, and then having a Vizier in the graveyard. And then you're going to want to have, Pitiless Plunder, and I need one more card. Give me a moment. I gotta find it. And then you're going to want to have the Sifter of Skulls out. But basically, what you do then, after you get all these cards onto the field in this way, and it really helps a lot if you actually have Reassembling Skeleton out too, and I'll explain why. And most of the combos actually revolve around a main central combo in the deck, which is Reassembling Skeleton, Pitiless Plunder, Sifter of Skulls, and then any sack outlet, and I will explain why. So if you have any sack outlet in the entire deck, so per se you have out a Phyrexian Ghoul, then this is how your combo is going to work. Just give me a moment. Okay, so this is how the combo is going to work. You're going to use the Phyrexian Ghoul to sacrifice the Reassembling Skeleton. When you do that, you make a treasure, and then you make an Eldrazi Scion. You're going to use the treasure for black, then you're going to use the Eldrazi Scion for the colorless, and you're going to bring back the reassembling skeleton. When the Eldrazi Scion dies, you make a treasure. So you're up 1 mana of any color that you want. You can do this as many times as you want to make as much mana as you want, and then you can use the treasures as opposed to the Eldrazi Scions to bring back the reassembling skeleton, and then you end up with infinite Eldrazi Scions. The main reason to use this combo is to make the infinite mana, because we want to win this turn. So then, after you have infinite mana, you're going to activate Havengulich's ability, bring back Vizier of Many Faces as a copy of Sidisi. Sidisi. When Vizier enters, you mill 3 because of Sidisi's ability, and then afterwards, the legendary rule applies, you sacrifice Vizier. You get a treasure and a Scion, which is really an after effect, but you need more mana in order to cast it. So then you continue to do this, paying 5 every single time for Vizier, which is why you need the infinite mana, and then you eventually mount your entire deck. After you do that, you will end up wanting to have, what card is it? Laboratory Maniac? You're going to want to play Laboratory Maniac. I can't find him. But you're going to play Laboratory Maniac, and so then he says the next time that you draw a card, you win the game instead. And then you're going to want to have Commander Sphere on the field. And then you're going to sacrifice Commander Sphere to draw a card. And there you go. You just won the game. Now, in case you can't get Commander Sphere, because it's in the graveyard, and you don't have any way to reanimate it, that's why we run Mer Retriever. So then, you're going to bring back Mer Retriever, because you got infinite mana, and Havengulich can bring it back. You're going to sacrifice the Mer Retriever to the Phyrexian Ghoul. Mer Retriever triggers, you get back your Commander Sphere, you still got infinite mana, cast Commander Sphere, sack it, draw a card, you win the game. Alright, so that's one of the infinite combos in the deck. Another infinite combo, like I've already said, is just the mana combo that makes infinite Eldrazi's. But then, beyond that, if you have this card on the field as you're doing that combo, you make infinite zombies. If you have, give me a moment. If you have this card on the field, well, you have a Xenograph or a Arcane Adaptation. Now, if you sack any creature, you get a zombie, so then you can sack stuff an infinite amount of times to make this thing infinitely big. Or you can just have this out with your infinite mana combo, and now you're making infinite zombies as well. It's another great way to make infinite zombies. You can use this with the combo, and then your opponent sacks an infinite amount of things. You can use, wherever it went, this card with this card on the field with the combo, and then you mill your opponent an infinite amount of times. And then you can also have out, once I find it, this card, because you have to bring back the reassembling skeleton from your graveyard, you make an infinite amount of bats. And so on and so forth. There's tons of there's tons of combos. There's the infinite combos, though. And other ways to pull it off is replace the card, where'd it go? The Havengulich. Replace Havengulich with Soul of Innistrad or with Gravewaker, and then you can essentially do the same thing there. And then if you have Vela out, your opponent's losing an infinite amount of life. And then if you couldn't get out if you didn't have Sidisi out, and for some odd reason you didn't think about casting her for the command zone again, you could just have Greater Good out, and now you're sacking stuff to essentially draw the cards and discard them. They end up in the graveyard anyway, or in your hand. So basically, there's a ton of different ways that you can assemble this combo. And each combo piece builds on itself and helps the entire deck no matter what. You don't have to have any specific combo down in order to be able to begin comboing off, although you're not going to be able to finish. Each piece helps itself and helps the deck in an individualized way. The more pieces you have, the better your combo options will be, and the more likely you are to be able to combo off without any problems. But each piece within and of itself helps the deck no matter what, and you should still be able to do something with every single piece and get closer to building the combo. Each card in here does its own thing. I've not even touched on every single combo. Arcane Adaptation, Rooftop Storm, cast any amount of creature cards from your hand. Whisper Blood Liturgist with Vela out, and you can essentially make your opponent lose 2 life, reanimate any creature that you want, and then pay 2 bring back the reassembling skeleton. Like, there's a ton of combos in here that go, that range anywhere from mere annoying to game-changing and possibly life-saving within a part of the game. And many of the cards in here can win the game by themselves, and I've won many a time just by attacking. You don't even have to have a combo down. But the deck does combo off. By the way, I have to thank one of my good friends, his name is Kelly, for this mat. He judged at an event, and he got this mat, and so he gave it to me because he has a ton of mats, and so I have to thank him a lot. I love this mat. So we run a bunch of swamps. I'm sorry, I don't have my lands actually sorted out, so I'm going to be counting them. So here, I'll just give you a bigger picture of how many lands we run. But I should have sorted them before this video. I'm sorry I didn't. But there's like a bunch of lands. I mean, we run 40 lands exactly. I know how many we run. I just don't know how many of each type we run. So if you'll just give me a moment here, I should have... Actually, I'm just going to come back out. Okay, so I sorted them and I counted them. We run 8 swamps, 9 islands, 8 forests. And then for the other lands that we run in the deck, we play Submerged Boneyard, Foul Orchard, Thornwood Falls. Thornwood Falls gains its life when it enters. Myriad Landscape, mainly to get the lands that we don't have of the colors that we do need. Golgari Gilgate, Demir Gilgate, Command Tower, it taps for any mana commander's color identity. Jungle Hollow, when it enters we gain a life. Woodland Stream, Simmet Gilgate, Blighted Woodland, we get to search out lands that we need. Opal Palace, Demir Backwater, we gain a life when it enters, and then Path of Ancestry. Oh, by the way, if we have Arcane Adaptation down in Path of Ancestry, or every time that we cast a creature spell, we draw a card. Or we don't draw a card, we get to scry one. So, I just thought I'd let you guys know about that. So basically, try and keep a hand that has at least black and blue mana in it. We don't run too many green cards, but we do need to have black and blue mana in it. Having 3 or 4 mana, or even just 2 mana and a Soul Ring is okay. I kept on a hand one time that had a land, a Soul Ring, and then a Commander Sphere, and it was okay. So the deck doesn't need very specific mana bases. 4 is enough for us to do what we need to win the game. It's very aggro, even if we don't get the combo pieces that we need. It can do a lot of different things. So thank you guys for watching. That was the deck tech. Happy Thanksgiving. One of the things that I'm thankful for is all you guys out there that watch, even if you're not subscribed. Just you guys watching, it helps me out a ton. It makes me really happy. It's always been my dream to have a YouTube channel. So with your just having your guys' support, even if it's not a ton, just you guys watching one of my videos, it makes me super happy. And so I'm thankful for all of you guys out there. Thanks for watching. Have a good Thanksgiving. I hope that you guys stay safe during the holiday season, even into Christmas. And so I hope that you guys stay warm, stay inside, and make sure to get your vitamin C. I don't want you guys to end up sick like I am. But thank you guys for watching. I think that this will be the end of the video. And yeah, have a good day.